Okay, good morning everyone. We're going to begin. Good morning, Habs Girls School. Welcome to day 2 of your off timetable week. I hope you enjoyed the conference yesterday. Certainly the talks I saw looked really good. Today, as you will hopefully know from your email from Mrs. Hall, is Healthiness and Happiness Day. And I'm very pleased to be able to introduce, first of all, to give you the assembly this morning, Miss Lane. Over to you, Miss Lane.
Thank you, Mr. Stock. Good morning. My name is Miss Lane. Mr. Thakrar and I are very excited to see you all this morning. We'll be starting your day with an activity which we would very much like you to continue with over the course of this week. When you've finished your version of this task, and we'll explain all the details in a minute, it would be fantastic if you could take a photo of the finished article and email it to us so that we can create a gallery of your thoughts and artwork. Our email addresses are rlane@habsgirls.org.uk and dthakrar@habsgirls.org.uk. So the idea is that you're going to make a door hanger, and I'm going to introduce you to the first side of this door hanger. I don't know if you can see it here, just holding up on the screen. And then Mr. Thakrar is going to introduce you to the other side. There are 2 sheets of A4 and I've cut a hole in the middle, cut them out and stuck them, in my case, on the lid of a shoebox. But you can use maybe a cereal box or even an Amazon box that you've had a delivery in. So, as we come out of lockdown, there is still a considerable amount of uncertainty, and we thought that this door hanger would help you to stay strong and keep going, even if things continue to feel quite tough at times. You can hang this on your bedroom door or somewhere else and look at it if you need to be reminded of things which will help you to stay positive in spite of the challenges which we could all still be faced with. So I'm going to tell you what I wrote on this first side of the hanger, and there are 2 columns, as you can see, before giving you some ideas of what you could write on your hanger. Remember, these are just suggestions, and this is your door hanger, and you should write on it and decorate it in whichever way you wish. So here are the 7 things, thinking about the left-hand column here, that I can do now or do better than I could 6 months ago. So number 1, making the most of my local area, and number 2, taking photos. The last few months have made me appreciate my garden and my local parks much more. As the Lower Full already know, I've even had a go at taking some photos. You can see them here on the PowerPoint slide, very early in the morning, of geese and goslings on the lake. I love animals and nature, but I've never had the time to immerse myself in the natural world quite to this extent before. Being stuck at home has meant that I've observed the same birds return to my garden at the same time of day. One of them takes a dust bath at lunchtime, another came to sit on the bush outside my window and watch me work the other day, and a baby mouse decided to emerge from its nest and climb a creeper which surrounds our window. That was really sweet. We've even built a hedgehog house in our back garden, but our resident hedgehog is refusing to live in it at the moment. One week when I was playing football in the back garden with my sons, we clapped for the NHS at 8 PM on Thursday, and unexpectedly we woke up a nest full of robin chicks. They were literally tweeting for the NHS. So, thinking about your door hanger now, have you spent more time in your garden or local park? Is there anything which you've observed since March which you would have been in too much of a rush to notice before? This has made me more determined than ever to look after the world around us and to behave in a more sustainable way. The sky is a brighter blue thanks to the lower levels of air pollution, and the bird song seems to me to be louder. So 3rd on my list, learning to use Zoom, Teams, Microsoft Forms, basically lots of technology that I'd never heard of before. This has meant not only that I can keep in touch with the classes I teach, but also with my family and friends. We've had quizzes, challenges, charades, joke-telling sessions, and even Famous 5 bingo, which got horribly competitive. Have you invented any games or adapted the way in which you do something so that it works remotely? Innovation happens when people are free to think, to experiment, and to speculate. Often it requires teamwork, which has not been easy to arrange during lockdown, but it won't be long before we're all back together in person and swapping ideas again, with a renewed sense of energy and purpose. Think back to how rapidly you adapted to remote learning at the end of March. Number 4 on my list, reading whole books, newspapers and magazines, and then having time to think about them. I usually skim read things or just pick out the sections that I'm particularly interested in. Having more time without the commute to school and with fewer scheduled activities like sports fixtures, play dates, music lessons, drama rehearsals and concerts has meant that I could take my time and push myself out of my comfort zone, reading material which I wouldn't normally choose to. It's expanded my horizons in a way I didn't expect it to, and reading has helped me to transport myself out of my homeschool, home office environment. I've been to the battlegrounds of the Second World War, on safari in South Africa. I've explored underwater worlds with the National Geographic and learned about how Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay climbed Everest. I think that being locked down has in some ways decluttered our lives and helped us to work out what our real priorities are. I hope that life doesn't immediately return to its formerly breakneck speed. I think we've learnt that taking things more slowly can be enjoyable, taking pleasure from the process rather than just the end result. Have you read anything which you wouldn't have chosen to before lockdown? Perhaps you just had more time to reflect on what you've read. Have you found that it broadened your horizons in unexpected ways? Did it help you make sense of something which you hadn't understood before? 5th on my list, growing food in my garden. So I've planted lavender, and I don't know if you can see this, a bit of lavender, which my sons decided to put into a mocktail, which they invented. That consisted of apple juice, elderflower cordial and lemonade. It was actually delicious, but I'm not sure the lavender added much to the flavour. I've planted sunflower seeds, cress, beans. Here's one of the beans. Strawberries, one of the strawberries that I picked this morning. A vine. I'm not sure I'll get much wine out of that, but it looks pretty. And even a pear tree. It's been so relaxing to potter in the garden early in the morning and late in the evening, watering and checking on the plants. I know that this is something which a lot of people would look forward to in retirement, but in many ways, lockdown has been a bit like a mini retirement. Time to take stock, reevaluate and recalibrate. There's something deeply satisfying about eating food you have grown yourself. Perhaps it's because we were originally hunter-gatherers. I don't know why, but strawberries for breakfast, which you picked 5 minutes ago, taste amazing. Have you grown anything or made anything? Have you baked cakes or biscuits or cooked a meal? Have you learned some basic life skills, washing the car, making your bed, changing a light bulb, making the perfect cup of tea for your parents? Number 6 on my list, a greater appreciation of what key workers do for us. And that's day in, day out, not just during lockdown. This is a poster on the slide here, which I saw down the road from me on a morning walk. Many of these jobs are unglamorous and not that well paid. I hope that we're able to sustain the newfound respect we have started to show people who do these jobs, often in very challenging conditions, when lockdown is over. Have you started to look at some jobs in a different light? Perhaps some of your family members have played a role in the national response, and you now have a better understanding of what they do. Number 7 on my list, final one for this column, a greater awareness of how kind people can be. Shopping for each other, fundraising, volunteering in hospitals. Many students here at HABS have stepped up where they can in the most impressive way possible. People are fundamentally kind, and it brings us a great sense of purpose and fulfillment to help others. This in turn boosts our well-being. It's a win-win situation, and we shouldn't have to wait for a crisis to develop in order to help each other and behave in a selfless, altruistic way. Have you experienced kindness during lockdown? Have you helped someone in your local community who you haven't had contact with before? So now for the right-hand column, and this is people I'm more in touch with than before. So although she hasn't quite mastered the fact that I need to see her whole face and not just her forehead or up her nose, it's been lovely to have unhurried chats with my granny, who is now 94. I've also got back in touch with Emma, one of my best friends from when I was at school. She now lives in Australia where she studies coral reefs, but we've both had more time on our hands and have planned some lessons together, and the lower four know all about that from their coral reef lesson last week. My neighbours, who have been at home a lot more. Now, one neighbour in his 70s would usually be travelling all around the world, making documentaries on extreme fishing. The fact that he's not been allowed to travel has made him very grumpy, but we cheered him up by inviting him from an impromptu game of cricket on our tiny lawn. My children. I've been able to play, jump, swing, walk and cycle with them. They are delightful company most of the time. The people I work with, other staff at school. We've supported and helped each other out in ways we wouldn't have had to before. More importantly, we felt able to ask each other for help when we were struggling. My colleagues in the junior school and the boys' school and key worker children. It's been an absolute pleasure to get to know and work more closely with other teachers from the different parts of our schools. At Key Worker School, I found myself being roped into being served imaginary pizza in an Italian restaurant at a 2-metre distance, of course, playing ping pong with a Year 7 boy, writing the story of how bread is made, and best of all, creating a rainbow mobile for 1 Year 4's baby cousin. So that's it from me. Now over to Mr. Thakrar.
So this week, as you know, is all about health and happiness. But no, we don't think that just means mindfulness, smiling and yoga, though all of those things are scientifically proven to help. We all still live very busy lives, and even during this lockdown period, we have continued to work hard, learn at pace and try to maintain high academic and professional standards for ourselves. That is, after all, the HABS way. Sometimes then, when greying, bespectacled teachers like me tell you to make time to take care of your health and well-being, it must get pretty annoying. Like, does he not understand how much homework I have? Or does he not get that I have 100 other things to do with the rest of my day? Or watching TV is good for my health, so can he quit nagging? Do you know what? All of those are perfectly valid responses. So what I would like you to do this week is to stop thinking about health, happiness and well-being as add-ons, as another thing that you have to do in an already busy week. Instead, think of them as rights, things that you are entitled to and should, in fact, put at the top, not the bottom of your daily plan. So now I would like you to look at the other side of your door hanger. You will see your health and happiness rights. The first one is definitely one you need to remind yourselves and possibly your families. You, me, them, everyone has the right to relax and enjoy life. Don't ever feel like the minutes away from learning are minutes wasted. Make the most of them. Yes, there are the traditional things we talk about, like exercise, reading and sketching, that we would still wholeheartedly encourage. But I'll be honest, I have also taken to singing along to karaoke tracks at home, especially if there's no one there to listen. Gardening, cooking new recipes, and sometimes deliberately making time to just lie on the sofa and chill. This is a perfectly valid use of your time. And often when you are recharged, you're an even better learner when you get back to serious work. The second one, each of us, adults and students, have the right to feel safe and secure. That's physically safe and mentally safe. And here, on a serious note, I think it's a really good moment to remind you that during lockdown, your teachers are still here to hear from you if you have concerns or feel unsafe for any reason. You can still tell us your worries via email, and we will strive to look out for you in the way that we do at school. Mental safety and security are also important. I've realised during lockdown that it's important to stay in touch with different people with whom you can discuss various different worries and issues. To some friends, I might talk about work worries. To others, I might talk about family. And to one or two very close ones, I might just talk about my own feelings. Make sure that you are still making time to chat to those close friends and family members. even if you have to do so online instead of face to face. You all have the right also to make choices about your life. As you get older, you will find that there are more and more choices that you are able to make. Nonetheless, no one should ever feel like they have no choices at all. Now that you are home more, some of you might feel like you have more control over your life and your schedule, etc. However, if you're a little bit more introvert and live with far louder, more demanding or more extrovert parents or siblings, maybe you feel like you don't get to make many choices anymore. Remember that you can still use school as an opportunity to make choices. Even this week, you have the chance to choose some of the activities that you're going to do. But also think over the summer about positive choices you would like to make for yourself for next year. Will you try something new? Or will you just pick up your guitar again? Will you actually share the poems that you've been writing in secret all term? Point 4 also links to the idea of choices. One new thing I have finally decided to do is start singing lessons. And I have my second Zoom singing lesson this week, tomorrow in fact. This is a positive choice for me and a really new experience. And if I turn out not to be that great, I will just try to learn from my mistakes. You too have the right to try things out and get them wrong. No one should be making you feel bad about having a go at things. Remember, you don't always have to be good at things to enjoy them. And if you're one of those people that can't enjoy something without being good at it, maybe ask yourself why that is. In fact, why don't you challenge yourself and try to deliberately do something that you know you're bad at and learn to enjoy it? For me, that will be sketching the coastline this summer, something I am truly terrible at, but I've learnt to enjoy. Point 5 is really important. Many people, especially adults, say that they don't need praise or validation. I'll let you in on a secret. They're lying. Everyone thrives on having their achievements acknowledged and celebrated. But in order for parents, peers, and teachers to do that, you have to let us know what you have achieved. The amount of times I've been at a parents' evening and told a parent about a competition or certificate that their daughter has won, and the parent would look at me with surprise because their daughter hasn't even bothered to tell them. Now, I'm not asking you all to become show-offs, but sharing what is good with others and letting them celebrate with you is so good for your sense of well-being and serves as a good reminder of the great things you can do and the great person that you are, even on those down days. So, during this week, Miss Lane and we would like you to fill out both sides of this door hanger and send us pictures of the completed ones to our emails as we've already explained. We hope you enjoy reflecting on all the great things you have done over this strange period and that you learn to take as many silver linings from it as you can. And now, to talk a little bit about the rest of the day, I'm going to hand over to Mrs. Hall. Mrs. Hall, I think you're on mute.
Oh, there we go. I'm going to blame Mr. Stock for that one. I was just saying thank you to Mr. Thackeray and Miss Lane for their wonderful assembly, and just sort of saying how much I look forward to making the door hanger myself. This morning you've been sent some links in an email from me. You need to do the biology, PE and psychology ones in that order, so in the order on the document, and you can fill in the worksheet as you go to hopefully understand a little bit more about how those three subjects link together and link to healthiness and happiness. At 11:05 we'll be back here on Teams and be joined by Dr. Kathy Weston as she's going to talk to us about resilience. And then this afternoon you've got the opportunity to take part in some wellbeing sessions, and you've also got the opportunity to listen to an inter-house debate, answering the question, is happiness the key to success. So I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day. Make sure you do click on the links at the relevant time, because quite a lot of today is live. The wellbeing sessions are on Zoom, so make sure that you've got that loaded for this afternoon, but everything else should run on Teams. Have a lovely day, and I hope you've enjoyed the assembly so far. Take care.